1,300 feet from the turbine unless it's necessary. You have to inspect an operating turbine from the ground. Do not stay under the rotor, or to observe the rotor from the front. Make sure that children do not stay by or play near the turbine. If necessary, fence the foundation. The access door to the turbine must be locked in order to prevent unauthorized persons from stopping or damaging the turbine due to maloperation of the controller. But the first sentence, do not stay within a radius of 400 meters or 1,300 feet from the turbine unless it's necessary.
So our houses are going to be 1,320 feet from this, but if I walk out my back door to go and do work on my chicken barn or whatever, then I'm within the 1,300 feet that they don't recommend for their own employees.
And that 1,300 feet doesn't allow for any additional safety buffer.
That's true.
So it's something to think about.
Well, and on top of the other stuff we have, potential, I mean, you were talking about ice throw because of the properties on the ice throw, but like that Rutgers professor said in the testimony from 2 weeks ago, that it said that with an 80-meter turbine that it could go up to 1,700 feet, but with the ones, these are 130 meters, so you go and figure that out, and it's almost over a half mile that if the turbine has a problem, and it explodes, parts can go up to over a half mile away, So.
Yeah, and that wouldn't necessarily be
I mean,
because of getting thrown due to the rotation of the board.
No, it'd
That'd
be
be due to an explosion.
Due to going and overspinning, which I know they have
Right.
things, but there's reports out there between 1 in 100 to 1 in 1,000 turbines. Well, not every 1,000, so we have potential of 250 here. So that's a potential of maybe 2 per year or 2.5 per year that could explode if you go to the low end. Not explode, but I mean, it would be a dramatic explode. But something could happen in a mechanical function or the braking system or a high wind, and it could go and shoot parts out. Now, I'm not saying they all do that. It's all done by a physics professor in Rutgers, but the potential to go out that far, but if it's 1 in 1,000, then 1 every 4 years could happen. But to be within 1,320 feet is a tough measure to do, to be sure. I don't know. And when they're saying that it should be measured from the property lines instead also, but then you're going to hear the word exclusionary and everything else, but,
But that's what we have for tonight. I have a lot more documents at home that I have to read through. I haven't had a chance to get through them, but I still have quite a few documents that talk about sound levels, talk about the setbacks, and the various other impacts.
well, I went through because I found this new report, and I went through mostly that, and I'm going to go and, to do my due diligence, disseminate what the developers have given us on each one of our things, no different than anybody else does, is go through and, find out where they're getting their information from for it, because actually to back up their information, it was basically a lot of their own opinions on it coming from them. I mean, they only gave us like 5 or 6 documents total, and they weren't even complete. The EPA document wasn't complete either, and I haven't been able to get that one yet. I'm looking for that one. So the EPA document was page 25 or something, and page 5. So there's got to be some stuff in there that may be important to us. And there's new documents out there. Like I said, this one I had just found last Monday or Tuesday. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do when you're finding new information, or even the old stuff to go and disseminate what you have and what you have to do. And like I said, with all the list that we gave them, and now we're getting it back, we have to go and look at that whole list and see where they're coming up with their information, because they do mention this standard and that standard and different things in there, and to go and check into those standards and see whether or not they fail to give you the entire report or just part of the report, and just go and using a standard and not look at other standards that are out there. That's what due diligence is about, is making sure and verifying what they're saying is the truth. I mean, and not necessarily they're lying, but whether or not there's more information out there that we haven't been given. I'm not accusing them of doing any wrongdoing, but it's the information I can see why some of this information the developer wouldn't want to give us, because if they do, it doesn't go in favor of them producing their project.
And one of the documents I have is that 2009 World Health Organization, they have a study of nighttime noise levels. I know we talked about it earlier, it was mentioned. That's one of the documents that I will be reviewing for this next time. It's a fairly comprehensive.
As a lot of these are. I mean, I've got per week at least 20 to 30 hours a week I've been doing on this stuff, as much as I, have time to do it. When the weather was bad, it was easier. When the weather's nice out. So do we want to set a date to have our next meeting?
I propose the June 13th, which is the Monday right before the township board meeting. That's 3 weeks from today, but it does, next week's holiday.
Right.
It's fine.
It's fine here.
Should be okay.
So we would then meet Monday night, 7 o'clock here again on June 13th. Any additional discussion? Okay, we can open it up. Any questions?
I've got some some questions. I guess with the letters, I guess would be the first question. You said you received a relatively small amount of response letters. Is there any plan here in the next week or two to maybe send something out now, like a final warning saying, please, if you're going to, if you're working on something or you're going to submit something, please try to submit it in a timely fashion so that it can still be considered. Otherwise, they run the risk of not being considered. I mean, if you've already spent the time to send that many of them out, it seemed like it'd be a worthwhile thing to at least follow up, just to make sure that someone isn't sending something.
We think the postcard follow-up or?
Just even, a small,
Yeah.
short form.
Okay.
And it's just to say, hey,
It's fine.
that's right, hugs and kisses.
And then the other question too, I guess along those lines, to this point with the responses, the only developer that you've received a response from is Great Lakes Wind Exelon. The other two developers have not responded.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, Cliff Williams from Orsal has talked with me twice. He indicated that his group would not be able to put anything together during April, but that they would try to get it completed sometime in May.
Okay.
So, and then I have sent a follow-up notice to UV, to Matt Krivos. The request initially was sent to Matt, so I followed up with him to try to find out the status on their response as well. So I'm still waiting for that. So I figured that by the end of this week or next week, I'll contact Cliff Williams again, find out where his group's at. Because it would be good to have, their replies as well.
I have a question. Have you ever considered a township survey? Somewhere in one of those letters, there was a survey, and I don't know who it was, we read so many. If they made a survey in the area.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not we can talk to the township board about that and bring it up and, discuss it at our next meeting and talk to them, because we don't see them for another 2 or 3 weeks. So our next meeting, maybe we should talk about putting together maybe a survey about the community and see what we get in a response on what their feelings are.
There's always the silent ones.
Right, exactly, and have no names involved, we just go and send it
That's
out to
right.
everybody as a postcard and say, we're sending your responses back.
The survey that was cited was after the
Well, they were already up? Oh, okay. I've heard a survey and I wasn't,
Yeah.
Right, but, you know,
Even though, yeah, we can still do one.
Yeah.
Even because it's-
right, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
We would have to think about what we would want to
Yeah.
include in that survey. What type of information would we be looking to get back
right,
right.
from the township residents?
right.
So let's think about that, and we can talk about that at the next meeting.
I have a question for Larry Gould. Where is the substation going to be?
Don't know.
You don't know? Because I saw in those pictures, it took 8 acres for the substation that Mark Vandenbush had. Where is it gonna be in Ogden Township?
I don't know where any of them will be. I've seen the ones up in the Thumb. The construction site was 8 or 10 acres, but I don't recall the substation. It's not very big.
Well, he said 8 acres he had on there.
I don't know.
Is it connected up here on Hodges? In Weston, does it have to connect with the pipeline? Somebody told me it has to go there, and I said, well,
No, I have no idea. What our intent was to go through we're gonna go through the ethanol.
okay.
You can't use the ethanol because it's not large enough. So someplace within a mile and a half probably, I don't know. There'd be a substation and we would use the existing lines to go to the grid. The grid's over on Deerfield, or south of Deerfield.
Thank you.
I have a question. I don't know, Larry, if you'd be willing to speak to it. You mentioned a little bit of it earlier tonight about the setbacks from the river for bats that you guys are aware of something. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like what do you think the setback will be? And will that apply to the Bear and Black Creek watersheds as well?
I just become aware that if they find bats, what that setback is.
And what would that be?
I thought it was 400 feet. I thought it was awful close. I didn't think it meant,
I thought
maybe
it was a
400
half
feet
mile.
didn't seem like very much.
I thought most of it was a half mile. I thought from U.S. Fish and Wildlife, they want a half mile setback from bats and from bald eagles.
But you have to find, if they're I thought if they want, it's the Indiana bat, that's the one. The other bats don't matter, I guess. No restrictions, but on
I
that
know up
one,
in Ludington or up in Mason County, one of those places up around Ludington that they have, because of the bald eagles up there, they have in their ordinance a 5 mile setback from any nesting places that they put in their own ordinance is a 5 mile setback. I know that. I don't know how many nests they have. I don't know what's going on. So. I don't know if it's Mason County. I know it's up by Ludington someplace.
those that go up and tour this site up north, you can look for all the animal traces that you can find in this, So, I mean, a lot of your reports, I can't